Good afternoon, and welcome to our fifth session in our first ever virtual successful aging expo. Today's session is entitled Fall Prevention, very important topic. My name is Al Manzi. I'm the president and CEO for Prairie Mountain Media and the publisher for the Times Call. So before we start this morning or early this afternoon, let me explain to you the question and answer. We've got Q&A chat that is available on the bottom of your screen. If you click on either of those icons, you can enter your questions directly in there. And I will, during the question and answer session, I will answer those, have those questions answered first. So please use that function if you can. Also like to remind everybody that you can visit our virtual expo and support all of our advertisers and partners right through the Times Call website by clicking on the expo. After our presentation, as I said, we'll have hopefully a very active question and answer session. Today's presenter is Evon Schones. She is the Wellness Director of the Good Samaritan Society of Loveland Village. So please join me in welcoming Evon Schones.
All right. Okay, well, that was the big fear I had for today, is not being able to Zoom correctly. So hopefully now we've got the big failure out of the way. Today I'm going to be talking about practical tips for preventing falls. Falls happen. They're the leading cause of injury for older Americans. In fact, 1 in 4 people over the age of 65 fall every year. And the older you get, sadly, the more likely you are to fall. Sometimes the result of a fall can be life-changing or life-threatening. So it's important to do what you can to prevent a fall before it happens. Falls are not inevitable. If you understand what might put you at risk, you can stop them before they ever happen. The most common causes of falling, which do tend to overlap, are orthostatic hypertension, often called a head rush, hazards at home, or a sedentary lifestyle. When it comes to orthostatic hypertension or a head rush, they are caused when you change positions too quickly, where the heart and brain are suddenly elevated. Gravity causes the blood to pool in your legs, blood pressure drops, and baroreceptors in the heart and neck sense the drop in blood pressure, send information to your brain to increase the heart rate and narrow the blood vessels in order to stabilize that blood pressure. A head rush will happen when that signal, either going to or from the baroreceptors, gets interrupted. The symptoms can include dizziness, fainting, nausea, blurred vision, and weakness. Causes can be aging, because naturally the baroreceptors slow down, or the signal to and from the baroreceptors slow down with age. Dehydration, unbalanced electrolytes, low blood pressure, low blood sugar, being on bed rest for a while, and more. So what do you do if orthostatic hypertension or getting head rushes often causes you to get dizzy, lose your balance, and even fall? Well, you can first check with your doctor to see if there's an underlying cause for getting your head rushes. You can drink more decaffeinated beverages. Water is always a good go-to. Tea, sparkling water, juice occasionally. I would recommend staying away from heavily caffeinated tea or coffee, because caffeine is a diuretic and may make the problem worse. If you're not a big fan of drinking all the time, you can also eat high water foods like watermelon, cucumber. A lot of fruits and vegetables are high water. Those are good things to snack on to help keep your hydration levels high. Don't exercise outdoor in the heat. That causes problems both with heat and dehydration. Both of them can cause you to lose your balance, fall, get a head rush, get you some dizziness. You can wear compression socks. Compression socks will keep that blood from pooling in your legs in the first place. I know a lot of people that wear them during exercise because it allows the blood to get back up to their heart faster so that they don't wear out as quickly. If you're a little bit hyperglycemic or hypoglycemic, eat small, lower carbohydrate meals spaced throughout the day to help keep your blood sugar balanced. Unless you have been told by your doctor to avoid sodium, try adding a little bit of salt in your diet. Oftentimes we're told don't eat salt, don't eat salt. Well, you actually do need some in your diet. You need balanced electrolytes, or else you will suddenly get really dizzy, and that one oftentimes comes on without warning. Also, sit and stand slowly. So if you're laying down in bed, you'll want to sit up, stop. Turn to the side, let your feet hang down, stop and rest. Slowly stand up, holding onto your bedside or something stable. Wait until that head rush passes, and then walk around and move on with your day. This will help keep you from getting dizzy. You know, another reason we fall are simple hazards at home, and these are the easiest ones to prevent. So often I hear about people tripping on items around the house. Dog toys, that's a big one, but they have a terrible, I always think dog toys because my dog leaves them everywhere. But I have these, let me start over on that. These are the easiest ones to avoid because all we have to do is neaten things up a little bit. I remember my grandmother in Topeka, Kansas she broke her hip, and how it happened is she was sitting in a chair, had a blanket over her lap, and she was reading a book. Somebody knocked on the door, and she got up and took a step towards the door, not realizing that the blanket that had been on her lap had dropped down to her ankles. She took a step quickly, and down she went. She tripped with her feet kind of tangled up in that blanket. Had she just slowed down a little bit, untangled the blanket, and then moved on, that would have kept her from breaking her pelvis. Keep floors and pathways clear of magazines, newspapers, dog toys, electric cords, oxygen tubing, etc. Remove throw rugs, which is your best course of action, but if you need to keep some of those rugs on the floor, secure them down with double-sided tape. Lighten up your living space and keep pathways to the light switches clear so that when you're going to that light switch in the dark, you don't trip over something before you can turn it on. Immediately clean up spills, especially in the kitchen and bathroom. If you have tile floors, you know how slick they get when soap, water, oil gets down on that floor. You will just slip right across there. It's almost like being outside on ice. So either have somebody else clean that up or you clean it up quickly. Store things that you use most often, like dishes, towels, within reach, rather than up high where you have to either get on a ladder or get off balance to reach up and get them. Also, putting things down too low causes another issue if you have to get down on your hands and knees and have a little bit of difficulty getting back up. I also recommend your plants, keep them on tabletops or shelves somewhere between shoulder height and knee height so that you can water them without having to climb up on something or getting in an off balance position in order to do that. Wear sensible shoes. Wearing flip-flops, clogs, or any shoe that is not securely attached to your foot can cause a huge tripping issue. These shoes are easy to get into, so they're very tempting to wear, but they're also very easy to fall out of. When you're sitting in a chair, use the 3 points of contact rule. So you want 3 body parts to be touching that chair before you sit down onto it. what I recommend is turn around so your back is facing the chair, back up until the back of your leg hits the chair. You can reach back with one arm. Hopefully you've got an armrest, and ease yourself down into a chair. If you're using a walker or a cane, that can be your third point of contact. Of course, you can have 4 points of contact as well, but you can back your walker to that chair. Make sure the back of your feet or the back of your lower leg, is touching the back of your chair, then sit down. So often, we've all done this. You think the chair's there, but it's not. You miss it a little bit. That kind of a fall is one of the most dangerous, because what are you coming down on? You're coming down right on that tailbone, and that jolt goes right up your spine. When you turn, lift your feet as you turn, rather than just twisting, taking a step, and risking one foot crashing into the other. Lift your feet into the turn and then start walking. Also be very, very aware of ice and gravel outside on sidewalks. I have a personal story with this one. When I was in my 20s, I was with some friends up in the mountains, and it was Summit County. It was so cold outside, and I did not see the black ice on the pavement. And I hit that black ice. My feet went up in the air, my hands went up in the air, and I came flat down on my tailbone. I broke my tailbone, and later on found out that I had also broken one of my vertebrae. 30 years down the road, I ended up getting 3 vertebrae fused in my back, and it was all related to that one fall so long ago. Assistive devices are fantastic. If you have any balance issues and you are concerned about falling, of course you're going to want to do other things too. But while you're strengthening, while you're cleaning up your environment, use an assistive device. An assistive device is a cane or a walker that can help you maintain stability while you're moving around. A 4-wheeled walker offers a great place to sit. So if you get tired, you automatically have a place to sit down. An occupational therapist is a fantastic resource for adapting your living space, personal habits, or coming up with tools to make your activities of daily living easier and to help prevent falls, such as adding handrails to both sides of the stairway, raised toilet seats with armrests. You can even buy tall toilets. Did you know this? If you ever have a house built, don't get the little toilets, get the tall toilets. Just make your life easier. They can put grab bars in the shower or tub or next to the toilet. We even have grab bars in my parents' house from the steps going up from the garage floor into their house. We put grab bars there. There's only 2 stairs, but those grab bars keep them safe. You can get shower seats. Use those both getting into the tub and while you're in the shower. Great for both situations. You can also get walk-in showers and tubs where you don't have to be stepping over something onto or out of a slippery surface. Again, really high risk of falling. Okay, here is my favorite topic when it comes to fall prevention: exercise. It is the most important thing you can do. There are many, many ways to combat problems when it comes to falling, but all of these that I'm about to talk about take some effort on your part. Move it or lose it, or use it or lose it, could never be truer than when talking about exercise. A study at Harvard Medical School showed that taking part in exercise programs reduces falls by 37%. It reduces falls leading to serious injury, by 43%, and falls leading to broken bones by 61%. And those aren't just numbers. Those are people's futures. If you've known an older person who has fallen and broken their hip, then you know how devastating that injury can be. Well, why does exercise work so well? Now, I'm going to keep my topic down here to fall prevention, but there are so many reasons exercise can be beneficial. What does exercise help with specifically? It increases muscular strength. It adds padding around bones and joints. It builds stronger bones, and it improves coordination and agility. The three most important muscles, in my opinion, backed up by science, when it comes to fall prevention, are the gluteus medius, the muscles of the core or torso, and the anterior tibialis in the lower leg. So when it comes to increasing muscular strength of the anterior tibialis, you can see in the picture here where that muscle lies. If you've ever had shin splints, you have felt that muscle. It runs along the outside of the tibia on the lower leg and then goes down into the arch of the foot. Its job is to dorsiflex the ankle so it pulls your toes and foot up while you're walking. And it also dorsiflexes the foot as a reflex to keep you from tripping. So if you think about walking, you take one step, heel to toe, and then the other foot heel to toe, heel to toe. While you're stepping, your toe is raised, and then gradually you push off of your toe raises again, and then you push off of your toe. If you were not able to raise that toe all the way, if your toe stayed down while you're stepping, think of an oxygen cord, an electrical cord. Again, that dog toy I keep bringing up. A lip in the sidewalk, a lift in a throw rug, even a sticky textured carpet. Your foot will stay down and drag over whatever that is, making it very easy to trip and fall. The second piece of that is, as that toe is down, if that muscle is weak, it also means the reflex is weak. How often do you start to trip over something and instantly that foot comes right back up and you lift your knee and you lift your toe? That's your dorsiflexion reflex. I'm sure there's a more scientific name than that for it, but it lifts your toe to avoid tripping over something. Exercise can quicken that reflex and strengthen that muscle so that if you do run into something, if your foot gets caught, you can step up and over it. Most likely, you're going to be able to avoid tripping on something altogether. That muscle can sometimes become weak through injury, illness, or a sedentary lifestyle. The second muscle we're going to talk about today is the gluteus medius. The gluteus medius, as you can see from the picture, is on the back side of the pelvis, runs right along the iliac crest and down onto your femur, the top of your femur. That muscle is responsible for keeping the hips level when one leg is fully weight bearing. So as you're walking, for a brief time, one leg holds all of your body weight and the other foot steps up and over, and you keep repeating that movement. If that muscle becomes weak, then it gives you the illusion of one leg being longer as you walk. Now, your mind doesn't pick up that one leg is longer. So what's going to happen? Say you're taking a step, your leg is dropped down an inch more than you think it is. It's going to catch on anything that's in the way. I always think of going upstairs. If you're trying to walk upstairs and that leg is feeling or acts longer than it actually is, then what can happen is you keep tripping over the stairs as you're walking up them. That can be a very dangerous fall. The last group of muscles that I'm going to talk about are the muscles of the core. Now, usually we include the gluteal muscles as a core muscle, but we've already talked about that. So what we're really going to talk about today are the abdominal muscles, the oblique muscles, the low back muscles, multifidus, multifidus muscles that go in between each of the vertebrae, gluteal muscles, which we're not talking about in this section, but also the muscles of the pelvic floor. These muscles are both mobilizers and stabilizers of the spine. So, I'm sorry, I'm checking my notes to make sure I don't forget anything here. When you sit up, you're mobilizing the spine. You have to use those core muscles to allow you to sit, twist, arch back, lean one way or the other. In fact, the stronger your core muscles are, the more to the side you can lean without falling over. The strength of that muscle group is really key for maintaining that upright stance. This group of muscles also stabilizes the spine. It holds the spine still, or your trunk and torso still, while you lift a load. So while, say, you're grabbing a laundry basket, in order to keep your spine stable and from getting injured, the core muscles kick in, allow you to lift that anchor point, lift that load, and move it without falling forward. So you can stay stable, lift the load up and bring it to you rather than the load bringing you down, if that makes sense. Like I said, it serves as an anchor point for everything else you can do. You can lift one leg without falling over. You can lift something out to the side. You can reach. All these things can happen without falling over because of your core stability and mobility. The stronger this muscle group is, the easier it is actually to get up from the floor. You think it's leg muscles, and that is a key. Leg muscles are very important, but think of how often you have to roll over, sit up, pull your leg into underneath you or into your, I want to say your chest. All that happens using the core muscles too. So the stronger your core, the easier it is to get up and down off the floor. Crunches are a really good basic way to mobilize the core. Doing the reverse crunches, or what's called a Superman, where you're laying on your tummy on the ground and you arch up slightly and back down. Great way to keep the back side of your core muscles strong. Doing planks are a great way to work the core muscles as they as they stabilize the spine. So planks keep your core still while you're holding that position. That is a stabilizing exercise. Crunches are a mobilizing exercise. You're moving. Exercise also creates stronger bones, either by doing resistance training or bouncing or impact exercises. Normally, I don't tell older people to bounce, or really, I don't like anybody to bounce too much. But as you notice, as I'm sitting here, you probably caught me doing a little bit of this. I'm sitting on a fit ball. That is what I do. So all day long, I'm kind of bouncing and moving and wiggling. Believe it or not, that lays down more density in my spine and keeps my spine nice and strong. By running, that's an impact exercise. That tells your bones they need to stay strong and they become denser. Resistance training is interesting because the muscles attach to tendons attach to bone. As that muscle flexes, it pulls against the bone, telling the bone it needs to get stronger. So exercise, both resistance and impact, helped increase the density of bones. Exercise also improves coordination and agility. Have you ever heard of proprioception? Proprioception is also referred to as the sixth sense. It's a type of brain-body communication that allows us to know where each part of our body is in space without having to look in a mirror and see. So I hope you can see me. I'm not sure if you can or not, but I can touch my nose without looking. I can raise my fingers over my head and touch my fingers, index, middle, thumb, without having to look in a mirror. I can tell where all of my body parts are without having to look. That is because of proprioception. You have little sensors in your muscles, spindles, that when stretched a little bit, send a signal to your brain, and that signal comes back down saying, whoop, you're off balance. Let's make a small correction. Think of driving a car. You're driving down a car on what seems like a straight road, and yet you're constantly making corrections with the steering wheel. That's kind of what proprioception does. It picks up any corrections that need to be made and makes those corrections automatically without you having to think of it. You can see this in action if you try standing on one foot, or if you've ever done something on the backside of a BOSU, you kind of get really shaky. That's your proprioception. After your proprioception, after a couple of weeks, kind of the pathways become a little more clear and that shaking stops being quite so bad. But if you stand on one foot and look down at that foot, you'll see that foot kind of moving around. That's your proprioception making automatic corrections to help keep you balanced. Your proprioception or your balance can become slowed or weak and damaged with injury, sedentary lifestyle, or illness. I know for me, here's a good example. If you've ever had a knee replacement, your balance on that leg is going to be pretty bad for a while. You have to reconnect those proprioceptive sensors after some sort of a surgery, any surgery. But they do come back. You just have to work on it a little bit. Symptoms of poor proprioception include clumsiness, uncoordinated movements, or just plain old poor balance. So proprioception is definitely a use it or lose it. To the way you want to work on proprioception or balance, you can do those things that we already talked about. Touch, fingertips over your head. You can try a tandem stance, so one foot in front of the other. Try balancing that way. If you can balance just fine, one foot in front of the other, toe and heel touching. Try turning your head side to side, up and down, or standing, closing your eyes. Those are all ways to improve your balance. You can try toe to heel walking. Oh, by the way, did you know when they do the DUI testing, my mom was a police officer, alcohol actually decreases your proprioception. That's why you have trouble with your balance when you've had too much to drink. Your proprioception gets off, so it's very difficult for you to do heel to toe walking on the side of the road. You can do everyday things like brushing your teeth with the opposite hand or brushing your hair with the opposite hand. Also here at Good Samaritan Society, in all of our balance classes, we do something called protective stepping. This helps, one, with your balance, but it also helps with your agility. It helps your body have a clear pathway to preventing a fall. If you become off balance, we practice some of the steps that are actually used in Tai Chi in a certain pattern, so that if you're ever in an occasion where you do start to fall, it's an automatic reaction to stop that fall. And that's our protective stepping, what it does here. I hope you have learned something today, but basically when it comes down to it, there's really no way to ever ensure that you're never going to fall. But you have the power to reduce your risk of falling or from suffering from severe outcomes if you do fall. Practice those balance and agility exercises. Pay attention to your surroundings. Talk to your doctor about medications. That's a big one, but that goes right back into the talk to your doctor before. Drink water, eat balanced meals, pay attention to your blood sugar. All the things that we talked about today, start with one at a time and just grow your fall prevention exercises. Thanks so much.
Evan, that was absolutely fantastic. You did a great job. Thank you so much for sharing all those important tips. Really, your information. I mean, I've been doing aging events like this now for the last several years. These were absolutely fantastic, practical things that people can do, and gave great information about how falls actually happen. And I'm 60, I'll be 63 in a few months, and I've noticed that even though I exercise all the time, I'm just not as balanced as I was when I was in my 30s and 40s and 20s. So it's amazing, even how noticeable it is. So we're all dealing with this. So we'll get to our Q&A now. Is it true that you can be too careful and too slow and cause a fall?
Actually, that is true. You want to be careful, obviously, but there is a correlation between how fast somebody walks in general and their fall risk. If you walk 3 miles an hour or faster, you're less likely to fall than somebody who's very careful and walks very slowly. Just like anything, people who are too careful tend to have more accidents. So just be comfortable, do what you can, but don't be afraid.
And there's somebody who really enjoyed your information about the process of sitting. Could you just go over that a little slowly for them on the 3 steps of sitting?
Absolutely. So if you're lying down, in order to keep that blood, your baroreceptors from not getting that information fast enough, you want to sit up, stop and rest. If you start getting a little dizzy, wait until that dizziness passes. You're going to turn to the side, drop your feet. I'm assuming you're on a bed or a couch. Drop your feet off the side of the couch or bed. Sit and wait. That might cause dizziness. Wait for the dizziness to pass. Then slowly stand up, making sure you have something to hold on to. You may get dizzy again on that third part. Wait for the dizziness to pass, and then start moving.
And I think they may have wanted you to explain again the process of sitting down in a chair where you have the touch points.
Okay, that is the 3 points of contact. So when you're sitting in a chair, you want to try to always have 3 points of contact with whatever it is you're sitting into or your environment. You don't want to just free fall into a chair. That's how you get hurt. So back up into the chair. Make sure that the backs of your calves are touching that chair. Reach back with one hand, assuming there's an armrest, and slowly sit back. Don't sit straight down. Sit back into the chair, letting your arms take the weight, and then sit down. If there is not an armrest, what you can do is back up until the backs of your calves hit that chair. Put your hands on your knees. Use that anchor and sit back using your legs as a weight bearing mechanism until you can sit back into that chair.
Very, very good description. Can you talk maybe a little bit about are there sitting or lying down exercises if somebody's older and can't do some of the exercises? Are there things that can improve the gluteus, the calf and back muscles, core muscles that you described?
Absolutely.
Sitting and lying down.
Oh my gosh, yes. So lots of things. The first thing you can always do is just an isometric contraction. So if you're laying flat down, squeeze your stomach muscles, squeeze your glutes, squeeze your calves, contract everything, take a deep breath and relax. Now, if you have blood pressure problems, be very careful here because that can shoot your blood pressure up. But that is an isometric contraction. If you do have blood pressure problems, try contracting one muscle group at a time rather than everything all at once. You can, I wish you could see more of me here, but say you're sitting on the front part of a chair, tighten your stomach, roll your hips back like you're sitting on your tailbone, and lean back until you start to feel your core tighten up, and then sit up again. Come back.
So kind of a modified crunch.
A modified crunch.
Mm-hmm.
You can also put your feet down flat on the floor. Do what we call I'm going to say arch your low back a little bit. Do a hip hinge. So you're leaning forward only at the hip, keeping your back straight, and then slowly lean forward and sit up nice and tall. Lean forward and sit up nice and tall, and that'll work the muscles of the low back.
That's outstanding. Thank you. Do you have any exercises to put crystals back in place for vertigo? I'm not familiar with that. So
yeah, that's called the Epley maneuver. And actually, I just did it to my mom not too long ago. But that Epley maneuver, you really should. You can do it on your own. If you've already done it with a physical therapist or in your doctor's office, you can try it on your own. But keep a bucket handy because a lot of people get sick to their stomachs doing it. But what you do is you sit up nice and straight and tall, keep your chin up, tilt your head to one side or the other and find a point where you get dizzy. Turn your head to that dizzy point and then very quickly lay down. Wait until the dizziness stops and then sit back up. I would have a physical therapist there with you and they can teach you the right way to do it. But that's called the Epley maneuver.
very interesting. What about shoes? Any advice on shoes for preventing falls?
Yes. Do not wear flip-flops, clogs, heels that are really skinny. Like I love stilettos, but they are a fall risk. Wear something that stays tight on your foot and allows your toes to expand slightly as you walk.
What about supplements? Are there? I mean, we people are taking more and more supplements.
Right.
Are there any supplements that you would say are related to stability and may actually help from fall prevention?
I would go to your doctor with that. If you are short on some sort of nutrition, your doctor would be able to recommend something. We do have some people here that actually take salt pills because they get their blood volume is so low, they need to bump it up a little bit, and salt tablets will help do that. But then again, some people are on potassium for their heart. So in our family, to prevent dehydration, we drink a lot of coconut water that has a balanced level of electrolytes. We even give it to my dog, to tell you the truth, because she gets dehydrated. But it's kind of delicious, but we just drink coconut water. I wouldn't say to go ahead and take a supplement without talking to your doctor first.
Thank you. And what about you? You had talked about some of the sitting and lying down exercises. What about some resistance ideas for people who don't have, hand weights or something like that?
Right. You can do so many things without any weights at all. You can do squats, you can do lunges, you can hold your arms straight out to the side and do arm circles until your shoulders get a little bit sore. You can do, oh my gosh, I'm gonna totally cheat and tell you, on YouTube, you can find exercises for everything, especially right now with the whole COVID thing. There are free exercise programs on YouTube that you can find that use no weights at all. And I often get some exercise ideas for our classes by typing in senior exercises, and a world of information will pop up. But that also shows you the right way to go about doing things instead of trying to remember what I said.
Excellent. I think we're out of questions. I just want to say to you, thank you so much, Evan. Your information was absolutely critical for people who really have to pay a lot of attention. And you know, hearing you say that 1 in 4 people over the age of 65 fall every year is quite eye-opening. And as our society continues to get older, we just keep, you know, we have the likelihood of falls, it just keeps going up. So it's an important issue in everybody's lives, and we appreciate you taking the time to provide us with such important information. So I thank you so much from our participants, and wish you well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.